Have you ever walked into a room and felt the energy shift, without saying a word? Maybe people grew quiet, looked away, or chose their words more carefully. If you've experienced this, you're not imagining things. It could be a sign that you carry something powerful, something people feel, even if they can't explain it. You see, having a strong personality isn't about being loud, aggressive, or stubborn. It's about presence. It's about standing firm in who you are, even when the world tells you to bend. For men, it might mean others feel uneasy around your quiet strength. For women, it can mean being called too much when really, you're just unafraid to speak your truth. And in a society that often rewards the agreeable over the grounded, that can make you intimidating. But here's the thing, being intimidating isn't a flaw. It's often a reflection of clarity, character, and wisdom earned over time. And if you're over 60, you've probably noticed it more than once. Maybe even started to wonder why. So today, we'll explore 9 clear signs that you have a strong, commanding presence, and how to embrace it with grace, purpose, and quiet confidence. Let's begin. 1. You rely on reason instead of following the crowd. In today's world, loud, fast, and filled with opinions, it takes quiet strength to choose reason over noise. If you've ever found yourself thinking, "This doesn't quite add up," while everyone else is nodding in agreement, then you already know what it feels like to stand alone for the sake of clarity. You're not someone who's easily swayed by groupthink. You prefer to step back, examine the facts, and form your own conclusion, even if it goes against the grain. That makes you rare. And sometimes, intimidating. Picture this, you're at a family dinner or community meeting. Everyone's on the same page, agreeing out of politeness or pressure. But you raise a question, not to cause trouble, but to understand. Suddenly, the energy shifts. Some look uncomfortable. A few might even roll their eyes. It's not because you're wrong, it's because you're shining a light where others prefer shadows. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "A man is liked in proportion as he moderates his claims upon others' intelligence." In other words, most people would rather feel right than be right. Your commitment to reason challenges that, and not everyone welcomes it. But don't let that discourage you. Stoic wisdom reminds us that reason isn't about winning arguments, it's about seeking truth with humility. And while some may find your clarity uncomfortable, others will find it inspiring. So keep asking questions. Keep thinking critically. Because the world doesn't need more noise, it needs more voices of reason. 2. You don't need validation from others. There's something profoundly freeing about no longer needing a pat on the back to know you've done the right thing. If you're someone who doesn't wait for others' approval before making decisions, you've reached a level of inner freedom that many spend a lifetime chasing. Maybe you've turned down invitations, not because you were rude, but because you simply needed rest. Or maybe you pursued a career, a hobby, or a way of life others didn't quite understand, yet you moved forward anyway, without asking for permission. That quiet confidence? It unsettles people. Why? Because most are trained to seek validation like a paycheck, something earned, measured, and distributed by others. But you write your own worth. And when you do that, others don't always know how to relate to you. Some may call you distant or arrogant. But the truth is, you're just not waiting for someone else to tell you you're enough. You already know you are. The Stoics teach us to focus only on what we can control. And other people's opinions? They're not on that list. Epictetus said it well, freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and freedom comes from refusing to allow others to control you. That includes control through praise or criticism. So keep showing up as yourself. Not to impress. Not to perform. But to live aligned with your values. Because the moment you stop needing applause, you start living on your own terms. And that's real power. 3. You live by a clear moral code. In a world that often rewards compromise, cutting corners, and going along to get along, living by a strong moral code can make you stand out, and not always in ways that feel comfortable. You don't bend your values to fit the situation. You don't play politics or twist the truth to make others feel better. When you say something, you mean it. When you make a promise, you follow through. That kind of integrity doesn't just earn respect, it commands it. But it can also make others uneasy. Why? Because your presence reminds them of what they've chosen to ignore in themselves. Like a mirror, your consistency reflects their contradictions. And sometimes, people would rather look away than face that truth. Imagine you're working with someone who's used to bluffing their way through. Suddenly, they're paired with you, someone who won't cheat, won't lie, and won't pretend. To them, your standards feel like judgment. But you're not judging, you're just living according to your principles. The Stoics believed character is defined not by what you say, but by what you're willing to stand for when no one is watching. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." You don't live this way to impress anyone. You live this way because it's who you are. And while some may call you rigid, the truth is, you are unshakable. In a culture that too often confuses convenience with wisdom, your clarity of conscience is a quiet kind of courage, and a beacon for others who still believe in doing what's right. 4. You're not afraid of being alone. In a culture that often equates being social with being successful, choosing solitude can be misunderstood. But there's a quiet strength in those who are comfortable in their own company. If you're someone who doesn't fear silence or time alone, someone who doesn't need a packed calendar or constant small talk to feel secure, you're already walking a rare path. It doesn't mean you don't value people. It means you value peace more than noise, and depth more than distraction. Perhaps you learned this the hard way. Maybe there was a time you leaned on others, friends, coworkers, even family, only to find they disappeared when life got hard. And in those moments, you realized something: you can't always count on others, but you can count on yourself. That's not loneliness. That's self-reliance. The Stoic philosophers taught that your mind is your most sacred space. Protect it. Fill it with reflection, not regret. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And learning to be alone, truly alone, is part of mastering your life. Some people will see your independence and call it cold. But that's their discomfort, not your reality. You're not closed off, you're selective. You know your time and energy are valuable, and you don't give them away easily. That makes your presence intentional and meaningful. So if you find joy in quiet mornings, long walks, or reading by yourself, don't apologize. It means you've found something many are still searching for: peace without permission. And that's not weakness, it's power. 5. You can speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Speaking the truth is easy when it's convenient, flattering, or expected. But what about when it isn't? What about when the truth risks upsetting someone, or making you the bad guy in the room? If you've ever spoken up when it would have been easier to stay silent, you already understand the weight and the courage of truth. Think back to a time when someone dropped the ball, whether at work or in a personal relationship. Everyone saw it. Everyone felt the tension. But no one said a word. No one, except you. Maybe you didn't raise your voice. Maybe you didn't call them out harshly. But you said what needed to be said. And just like that, the room got quiet. That silence? That's the sound of discomfort meeting honesty. Truth-telling, especially when it goes against the grain, doesn't make you harsh. It makes you brave. In a society where many tiptoe around conflict, those who speak the truth, calmly, clearly, and with respect, stand out. And yes, sometimes that makes you intimidating. But it also makes you trustworthy. The Stoics believed that truth should never be sacrificed for comfort. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." That's the spirit behind every honest word you've ever spoken. You don't speak up to embarrass. You speak up to protect, to correct, and to build something better. And while some may not thank you in the moment, many will respect you in the long run. So the next time your gut tells you to say what others won't, trust it. Because silence might keep the peace temporarily, but truth builds trust, and trust lasts. 6. You stand out in a crowd without even trying. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You don't need flashy clothes, grand entrances, or attention-grabbing gestures. Still, when you walk into a room, people notice. Maybe it's your posture, your presence, or just the quiet confidence you carry. Whatever it is, you've likely experienced those subtle shifts. Conversations slow down, people glance your way, and the energy in the room subtly changes. At first, it might feel uncomfortable. You might even wonder, did I say something wrong? But the truth is, no, you didn't. You simply have a presence that speaks before you do. In a world that often rewards noise, someone who's calm, centered, and self-assured can feel like a mirror. And that mirror makes people reflect on themselves. For some, that's inspiring. For others, it's unsettling. You've probably had friends act differently around you, more reserved, more filtered. Not because you asked them to, but because your presence silently raises the standard. That kind of energy can intimidate people who aren't quite sure of themselves. But here's the key: don't dim your light just because it makes others squint. The Stoics taught that strength isn't about overpowering others, it's about staying rooted in your values no matter the environment. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And that's exactly what you do, just by being yourself. You don't seek attention. You don't need applause. But still, your presence carries weight. So next time the room feels different when you enter, don't shrink. You're not being too much, you're being real. And in a world full of distractions, real always stands out. Stay grounded. Stay strong. And let your presence do the talking. 7. Your words carry weight. Have you ever noticed that when you speak, people pause? Maybe the room grows quiet. Maybe conversations slow, and eyes shift toward you, not because you raised your voice, but because your words carry weight. It's not volume that gives your speech power, it's intention. You don't speak just to fill silence. You speak when there's something worth saying. And when you do, people listen. This quiet authority isn't something you learned in a textbook. It comes from life experience, from decades of watching, listening, reflecting, and learning what matters. You've seen enough to know that empty words are just noise. But when you speak with purpose, that's when the atmosphere changes. Some people find that comforting. Others find it intimidating. Why? Because when your words hit with clarity, they leave no room for posturing. No space for games. And for those who rely on confusion or manipulation, your straightforwardness can feel like a threat. But you don't use your voice to overpower, you use it to guide, to challenge, to build. The Stoics believed in measured speech. As Epictetus once taught, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Your restraint gives your words value. Your timing gives them impact. That's why people remember what you say. It lingers. It plants a seed. Sometimes it even stings, not because you were harsh, but because you were honest. And that's your power. You don't have to say much to say something that matters. So the next time someone leans in a little closer when you speak, know that it's not by accident. It's respect. It's trust. It's the understanding that when you choose to speak, it's worth listening to. Let your words remain few, but let them echo. 8. You are decisive and direct. In a world where hesitation is common and sugarcoating is the norm, being clear and decisive can feel like a superpower and, at times, a threat. You don't dance around decisions. You evaluate, act, and move forward. While others might spend days going back and forth over what to do, you're already taking the next step. That kind of clarity doesn't come from guesswork, it comes from knowing yourself, your values, and what matters. Let's say you're out with a group of friends, trying to pick a restaurant. The back and forth starts. I don't know, whatever you want. Anything's fine with me. But you? You look around and say, let's try the place down the street. It's good, fast, and we won't have to wait. Done. Some people appreciate that. Others feel steamrolled, even when your decision saved everyone 30 minutes. Why? Because decisiveness exposes indecision. And directness makes excuses impossible. But being direct doesn't mean being unkind. It means being honest, with respect. You say what needs to be said, not to hurt feelings, but to move things forward. That's leadership in action. Stoic philosophy reminds us that the wise speak with purpose, not for applause. As Arthur Schopenhauer once noted, politeness is to human nature what warmth is to wax. And you understand this. You lead with clarity, but also with tact. Still, your straightforward nature might not land well with everyone. Some may call you blunt. Others may misunderstand your urgency as bossiness. But those who know you well, they recognize the care behind your clarity. You're not trying to dominate, you're trying to get things done, solve problems, and keep things real. In a time when many fear stepping on toes, your ability to step up and speak plainly is a rare and powerful trait. It's not about control, it's about courage. 9. You don't need to show off to be noticed. Some people chase attention like it's oxygen, louder voices, flashier clothes, constant updates about their lives. But you don't need any of that. You carry yourself in a way that commands attention, without ever asking for it. You've learned that real confidence doesn't have to announce itself. It walks into the room quietly, makes eye contact, listens more than it speaks, and leaves an impression that lasts. In today's world of oversharing and self-promotion, that kind of presence stands out even more. You don't need to broadcast your accomplishments or constantly remind people of your worth. You live it. In how you treat others. In how you carry yourself. In how you handle success and setbacks. People may wonder why you don't try harder to be seen. But the truth is, you've outgrown the need for external validation. You're not playing a popularity contest. You're living your life with purpose, not performance. The Stoics taught us that the pursuit of approval is a trap. As Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. Translation? You don't need to look powerful, you need to be powerful. And that comes from the inside. That's why your presence speaks volumes, even when you say nothing. People can feel your strength, your values, your certainty, and that's far more compelling than any spotlight. You don't need to post every success, wear your wealth, or prove your intelligence in every conversation. Your life, quiet, intentional, real, is your message. So while others are busy putting on a show, you keep showing up as yourself. And in a world full of noise and performance, authenticity isn't just rare, it's magnetic. That's not modesty. That's mastery. Conclusion. If you saw yourself in these signs, take a moment to recognize what that truly means. Having a strong, even intimidating personality isn't something to fix, it's something to understand. It's not about being unkind or overpowering. It's about carrying clarity, self-respect, and depth in a world that often rewards surface-level charm. Yes, your strength might make some people uncomfortable. Your directness might be misread. But don't let that convince you to shrink. The world already has enough noise. What it needs, what it craves, is more calm, grounded voices like yours. The Stoics didn't seek popularity, they sought truth. They lived with integrity, not to impress, but to live well. And that's exactly what you're doing. So whether you're 30 or 70, whether you've been this way your whole life or have grown into it through hard-earned lessons, remember this: your strength is not a burden. It's a beacon. It doesn't isolate you, it reveals you. Live it boldly. Speak it gently. And let your quiet confidence continue to light the way for others. If this message resonated with you, leave a comment. I am who I am, and I'm proud of it. We'd love to hear your story.